Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with the defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill, folks. Please read the article, share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, just in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. All right, folks, trigger warning one. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center and Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please go ahead and use the headphones, all right? Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised, all right? Okay, I do want to kind of take off my point at the beginning of the video. Social media has led to another phenomenon. And everything has been turned essentially into a sporting event. Everybody's got a team. Everybody's got a team. I like to jokingly say that I am Team Marvel and Team Godzilla, but we're not talking about fandoms here. We're talking real life events. I'm team this, I'm team that, and you are literally talking about devastation and war. Yeah. This isn't the Super Bowl, kids. These are real people's lives. This is why we need to start getting our heads out of our screens. So that when we're interacting with individuals, we're not just dealing with a screen, we're dealing with a face to face person. So that we can realize these individuals that we root for, like it's the damn Super Bowl, are real human beings with real lives. We are so disconnected in this age that we don't even realize that anymore. To us, it's just a message on a screen. Very rare is the individual who thinks about the person who is behind the screen typing the message. And we do it, this is what's even more insane, when we're surrounded by other people. Go to a park sometime. Everybody's in their phones. Sometimes even the young kids are in their phones on the playgrounds. Now, I hated recess because that's where bullies had free reign. But for the love of God, as nerdy as my ass was, even I tackled some goddamn monkey bars in my day. People don't do that anymore. It's that disconnect. And now everything is a spectator sport because we are so disconnected. This is the reason why people are confusing reality with fantasy in real life. Okay? So, again, I'll reiterate the challenge that I myself did during Lent. 8 hours a day, you're working, your phone is off. Granted, I will say this, I did have my phone on, but I was not on social media, I was coloring. I'm 5. Leave me alone. Paul can attest. Every time he comes out here while I'm working, I'm coloring. But yeah. This is not the Super Bowl. This is real life. All right. Now let's go to where we left off, shall we? A comment asserts that the JRC uses extensive measures to ensure ESDs are applied only to refractory patients. For example, evaluating each patient with a functional behavioral assessment, an FBA, performed by a JRC clinician. Excuse me. Bullshit! Bullshit! Oh, God. Something horrible. I may need to see the doctor. Bullshit! Bullshit, folks. We know what the JRC uses. We've already been over this. It is not the full functional behavioral assessment that is used by the rest of the planet. They will only allow it to be performed by a JRC clinician, no outsiders. Their assessment is a joke, and the only reason that they use it is as a way to psychologically get inside those kids' head to find out what terrifies them the most. We've already read that in the literature. That's not what a full behavioral functional assessment does. What it does is it's supposed to, when done right, set a baseline. A baseline of here's where we are, here's where our strengths are, this is what we're good in, this is where we have some horrifical deficits in. That is the sole purpose of a full functional behavioral assessment. It's to get that baseline, to find out specifically what those issues are. And no, I'm not talking about, but she flaps. Obviously, she must be shocked, so she'll stop being weird. That's not the kind of shit I'm talking about. Stimming never hurt anybody. The shit I'm talking about, but the behaviors and a full functional behavioral assessment is there to get a baseline so that you can have a foundation to build an actual adequate treatment program off of. That is its sole purpose. The JRC uses it as a way to try to find out what terrifies us the most. We know this because we've read it from the JRC themselves. My receipts are in the description box in case any of you assholes want to argue. Okay? Now, let's bring up something that is actually quite horrifying in regards to this statement. But it's only the refractory patients. It's only those autistics. If I had a dime for everyone that said, but you're not like those autistics and those autistics lines, I'd be a rich bitch and you all would know. You'd never see my ass again. Be out on an island with a book and my fucking cat and no people. Not even lying. You all know it's true. There it is again. We're not using it on every single autistic, just the ones that are most severe. But you understand why that's worse, right? The fact that you are deliberately using that device on individuals that you feel are not going to be as able to communicate about it. You don't see how that's worse? You really don't see how that's worse? Your full functional behavioral assessment is not one at all. It's a checklist that was essentially, I don't know, Dr. Israel pulled it out of his ass, but it in no way, shape, or form resembles an actual, proper, full functional behavioral assessment being done. Okay? It develops no baseline. Okay? Number two, the fact that they're using this and are literally admitting that it's only for the most severe, what they are meaning to say is the most vulnerable. Okay? Also, an interesting fact about these GED devices that nobody likes to talk about, but I will. Ever notice the majority of the survivors that have come forward that have been put on that fucking horror device have been people of color? Jennifer Masamba is half Hawaiian, half black. Terry Olmos is Hispanic. Andre McCollum's black. Okay? What who do you consider a refractory patient, JRC? And what is the criteria for that? I would love to know. We already know that you, in particular, prey upon poor communities made up mostly of people of color. But the fact that I was just able to pull that off the top of my head without going research monkey on you, I think it should speak volumes. I really do. Let me continue to read. First, attempting PBS approaches, exhausting all other options, and obtaining prior court order with involvement of multiple parties. Lie, 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 lie. It has been stated by Dr. Matthew Israel as well as Glenda Cook that these folks don't even really know what positive behavioral reinforcement is, let alone know how to utilize it. That was in fact stated in their rebuttal of the INSEAD 2006 report. You're doing your form of so-called positive behavioral reinforcement, treating 21-year-old full-ass grown adults as though they're 12-year-old kids. Well, you acted like a neurotypical for 5 days. You get time in the ballroom, and the person's 21 fucking years old. You know, that's not positive behavioral reinforcement. I don't know what the hell that is other than the same old stick and carrot both neurotypicals and neurodivergents have to put up with alike. You did not attempt PBS. You gaslit someone for a week and then intentionally triggered them so that you can punish them. Not only do we have the survivor's word for this, we have the goddamn video surveillance footage. And it doesn't get more real than that. Exhausting all other options is also bullshit. You can't tell me on one hand that you've exhausted all other options and did positive behavioral reinforcement, and then in the other breath tell me you don't even know what it is, let alone how to utilize it. That tells me you're full of shit. When you say person-centered planning is a theory, instead of the treatment program it has been for over the last fucking 20 years. You haven't tried everything. When the school did not immediately, upon seeing issues, not refer parents to go get a full functional behavioral assessment done. And I don't mean within the confines of the JRC. I mean, get that shit done by an independent office, for the love of God. And then begin steps into the service system. You don't do any of that. You torture kids until they go catatonic or mask for survival. And then you'll tout us as a great success until finally the character breaks. And back we are on that device again, aren't we? Bullshit, bullshit, major bullshit. Lies all over the place. As far but the judge said he had a court order. Do you know how many court orders are now looked at through the lens of history with absolute horror? Since we're talking about Massachusetts, let's go ahead and bring it up again. The Salem witch trials. Because that's what the world knows you for. In case you're wondering, Massachusetts. When you travel outside this country, if you mention this name, the state of Massachusetts, they know one thing: Salem. Okay? I speak of experience. Both Scotland and England. Court orders are not a license to barbarity and cruelty. Okay? Because remember, kids, judges did not go to medical school, they went to law school. But there's multiple parties involved, mother of fuck. Do you have any idea how many multiple parties try to edge their way into my treatment program? All these doctors saying, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. She needs ABA. And you're doing everything over. Do you have any idea or conception? Because those were my last 2 years at fucking high school. Honey, I don't care if you could bring the entire population of Manhattan into a single room during the court order. It does not make the court order right. Nor does a court order supersede the horrors those kids have been forced to live through. Okay? And one day, I fucking hope anyway, people will look upon the JRC, this case that has gone on for infinitely way too long, with the same level of horror that we look at the judges and the court orders that caused 16 innocent people to be hanged back in the Salem witchcraft trial days. In the commenter's view, FDA fails to discuss and consider these measures in the assessment of risks. We do consider it, JRC. We just know that everything you're saying is a lie. It's always been a lie. It doesn't matter how many times you repeat it, how many times you try to reword it, or what poor soul you try to march out to promote it. It's still a lie. Okay? You have not tried any form of positive behavioral reinforcement as it is known throughout the rest of the medical universe. Period. You have admitted as such. You've also been so detached from current data and treatment programs out there that you have incorrectly termed person-centered planning as a theory when it has been in use for over the last 2 decades. I was one of the first individuals that was put on a person-centered planning program when it first started coming to my state. Okay? That was 2003. 2003. All right. You have not exhausted all other options. I have torn this argument into itty bitty tiny shreds over and over and over and over again on this channel, so I'll spare you doing it this time. But just know it's bullshit. If you want to know why it's bullshit, go into the description box. Click in particular Autistic Hoya's Massive Archive link. That will give you a real education of what the JRC actually does as opposed to what they say they do. The reason why the FDA did not consider them is because they're lies that had no place in any of the proceedings that were going on from 2014 to 2016. We're going to close out on that, folks. We don't get very views on this channel. The few we do get removed from time to time. You know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you again in a few minutes.